Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of Crypto G's. I'm very excited because this is the first podcast I have done since our award in the AIVC Summit. So I'm very excited. I have a very good guest today. We met in a fight, in a MMA fight in Dubai, and then I say, "Hey, why you don't come to the show and you talk about your experience in crypto, social media, living in Switzerland, traveling the world?" And that's our good friend Shiraz Ahmed. Hi, Shira. How are you today?
I'm great, Andres. Yeah, in that fight where we both were in the ring.
Well, but maybe one day, who knows? So, Shiraz, thank you so much indeed for being in Crypto G's. As you know, this space to tell the life of all the crypto Gs, even though beyond technology protocols, it's about the personal touch. So tell everybody that is watching and listening today, who is Shiraz Ahmed?
Wow, I don't want to take the whole time to describe who I am because I think there's a lot of really interesting insights to go over. But essentially, born in the UK, raised in Switzerland. I grew up in a family that was always talking a lot about innovation and never really knew what I wanted to do. A little bit of kind of, let's say, the kid that was always bouncing up and down. Very energetic, doing a lot of sports, but never really focusing on his studies. And then I think when the Web3 world first hit me at university, I was like, wow, like these spirited, energetic people do have a place, do have a home, and the rest is history.
Amazing. And when was that the first time that you came across to Bitcoin or crypto? You were a unique. What year was that?
It was around 2016.
Wow.
2016 first with Bitcoin, this gold that was sold to me as digital gold, which was like I played a little bit of MMORPG, so multimedia role playing games at the time, and all I could think of was like gold in like World of Warcraft or RuneScape or one of these games that were online. I was like, oh, you can actually trade these things and it has value. And yeah, from there, it really just kind of scaled. I did a lot of trading of
Oh, wow.
various altcoins and kind of grew into that altcoin season of 2017. And when you're trading, you do technical analysis, TA, and fundamental analysis. And I think a lot of us really got into the Web3 space from a lot of the FA fundamental analysis that we're doing because so many of these projects, albeit a lot of them were very crazy and maybe some naive and trying to go to the moon and all. There were some really great ideas behind there. And one idea in particular, the tokenization of assets, the ability to democratize investment solutions for anyone, anywhere to invest in practically anything, was a concept to me that seemed quite distant from the reality in terms of if you look at Amazon, you can buy products of any kind all over the world, but in the same way where you could invest in gold, in solar panel farms, in a startup or whatever, with even let's say a couple of dollars, and you could create a diversified portfolio in a matter of minutes, was something where even though it was a wild idea, I was like, well, technologically speaking, I feel like we have all of the back and front end. Why can't we do that? And so that was really the first use case that got me a little bit really down the rabbit hole of what blockchain technology can do.
Is that rabbit hole that everybody went? Oh, everybody dives into crypto. Start with only one, probably paper or a tweet or a Facebook post. I remember for me it was a Facebook post. I saw somebody talking about Bitcoin, the cryptocurrency, and then since then I go hook. Similar to happened to you. Obviously, I used to play games as well. Actually, the first coins that I got was in Mario Bros. So you had to get to 99 coins in those days. But let's go a little bit back more, Shira. So you went to university in England, but how were you bringing? Were you bringing among entrepreneur parents, or your parents want you to go to uni and be a doctor engineer? Because like most of us, that's what we did in the 90s and in the 20s, right? Our parents they want us to go to university because it was the safe way. But tell us more about your bringing. You have always this entrepreneurial mindset as well when you were a teenager, or how everything changed.
Yeah, so funny enough, not at all. So from let's say a heritage standpoint, my mum is half Kenyan, half Indian. My dad is from Pakistan. They emigrated to the UK at a very young age. They both met at university as biochemists, so very
Wow.
different to let's say the technological side of things that I'm involved in now. And my mum went more down the research route with the likes of Unilever, and my father in pharmacology, essentially.
Wow.
And so, of course, you're probably thinking they wanted me to become the good doctor
Good
son.
doctor,
Which, funny enough, my brother went down that route. So at least they have one good son.
yeah.
Uh, and yeah, I mean, my parents definitely always wanted me to go to university. I think they saw the value in that, and it was definitely something that was always on my mind. And funny enough, Andres, when I was at university and I saw like the entrepreneurship club and these things, I always kind of labeled it as like those people, and I think they were a little bit weird, and I understand why they were a little bit weird now when I include myself a little bit within that pool of people. But it was always something I was like, oh, maybe it's not for me. Like I was always thinking about joining a larger firm, etc. And I think that was always the plan. I didn't necessarily know what. My parents, as I mentioned before, were always like, okay, what are you gonna do when you grow up? And I was like, party. But then I think really, as we mentioned before, getting like into this rabbit hole of crypto, I saw a way to combine the passions that I had with an actual professional career. And then when I joined the first startup that I worked in, I had a lot of ideas. I knew
Mhm.
a lot about the space. I always spoke about the fact that I could recite the top 100 cryptos by coin market cap
Wow.
in a bar like 2017, 2018. I can no longer do that, but I remember that was the level of like obsession that I had with altcoins. It was like, okay, I know I know all of them, or at least the top 100 of by heart. And then I think the entrepreneurial mindset started when I think a little bit deep down, I always had an idea of how I wanted to do things. And a lot of people could call that ignorance, arrogance, confidence, under a lot of like umbrellas. But I just knew that I wanted to do stuff in my way of thinking, and of course bringing together other ways as well. But I think as an entrepreneur, you have to make a lot of sacrifices, but at
Yeah.
the end of the day, you can hold yourself accountable for a lot of your actions. And that is one of the parts that I love about it the most, is that like I am the person that is making the decisions for the good and the bad, and I can hold myself liable and accountable for that. Whereas when you're working for a larger firm, you have your responsibilities and you're doing your key piece, but you cannot necessarily put yourself in that position. And so that really put me, in that entrepreneurial journey.
Chia, something that it came across when anybody Google your name or start to research about you is that you always have that leadership skills. Like as an entrepreneur, we have to have leadership skills. And you mentioned also that you were a ski instructor as well. So you probably learn a lot how to teach people not only about not to break their legs, have a good swing. I don't know how you call that in ski. I never ski, by the way. So I need
No, okay.
I need to come. I
Well,
need to
next
come.
time, next time you're invited into the crypto valley, we'll go and
We do the
shred.
podcast me skiing and trying not to get fractured.
I've actually seen someone skiing with their computer once. I don't know if they had a Zoom meeting, but
Oh my gosh, that would be
it
good.
was
That
cool.
would be a good reel. But yeah, Shia, you always have this leadership on you, and if you go through obviously your experience, you basically were at uni and then went all in into crypto as well. So tell us about that first day that you bought your first crypto. How was it? What was the first crypto that you bought? How you did it? You use P2P or you use Coinbase? How was the first day that you bought your first crypto and how much did you buy?
It was, I think it was very scary. I bought Bitcoin for the first time, but funny enough, I bought Bitcoin to buy an altcoin, and I think the
Ah,
altcoin was Tron. So
Tron, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Good
um,
sailor to Justin there.
Yeah. And I don't think at the very beginning, I don't think I held as much Bitcoin as that. I think a lot of my first initial purchases were through Bitcoin, but to altcoins like Tron back in the day, VeChain, and others. I think then I realized when I was doing over trading, and I should have just held my Bitcoin and it would have been as successful as some of the trading I was doing. I ended up diversifying more into, let's say, the king of digital assets. But it was definitely a scary one. I did it through Coinbase, and then hit BTC back in the day.
Yeah, he did the same.
But it definitely felt great. I mean, I was a student at the time, so it wasn't a lot. But funnily enough, I mean, I think BTC was at like 2.5K or something like this.
Oh,
So yeah, I think I was able to buy, well, not a lot, but I guess it seems like a lot today. I think it was maybe 0.1 or something like this,
yeah.
0.2. And then yeah, the journey began.
That's crazy. Yeah, the first time that you buy crypto, and well, especially those days, there were not much information. Not many people, like, we didn't know much about it. There was a white paper, but there was no as much as education that we have right now. And like, obviously, blockchain is here to stay, but there were no case of studies, or we didn't have all these layer twos, all these layer ones. We didn't have all this exchange that we have now. Yeah, it was a bit risky, to be honest. like anything in crypto, remember, everything we're saying here is not financial advice, do your own research. But yeah, crypto as a new technology is quite risky, and especially 5-6 years ago when there was no enough compliance. So yeah, we took that leap of faith, let's call it like that, Sheraz. But look, now it's paying off. I think that we all start in crypto, as you say, for this digital goal. See, we might become rich one day. I think everybody start that way. But tell us about your transformation from 2016-17, like how you ended up like going all into crypto. You work for some startups. I've seen that you have done so much stuff. But tell the audience of Crypto Years, how was that decisive moment to say, okay, you know what, I'm going all into crypto?
Yeah, I think back in the day, it was definitely one that people definitely thought I was a bit crazy to do so. I think, as you mentioned before, there was a lot of lack of education, or it was just very new. There wasn't all necessarily the advertising, or even like from a PR standpoint, there was not all the big media outlets really speaking about crypto or Bitcoin either. So it was really kind of like a cypherpunk type thing. It was like, and there were a few people that I spoke to. I was like, oh, I bought Bitcoin. They're like, okay, what are you doing on the dark web? Like, what are you buying, Sheraz? It's like, well, no, I'm not buying anything like that. Yeah, I think getting involved into it and getting involved in a tangible project that was not necessarily like a commodity like you can consider Bitcoin. It was a project where the ethos at the beginning was to create a security token exchange whereby you could fractionalize real world assets, and you'd have that on an exchange, and you'd be able to buy it just like you do crypto today on Binance, Coinbase, and the likes. And it was in Switzerland, so in the heart of the crypto valley in Zug. And I think having the good fortune of being raised in Switzerland, it was quite at proximity to where I was. So after university, just going back practically, let's say, home, although I grew up in the southern part of Switzerland, going back to Switzerland, it was an easy transition to be there and to get involved into that environment. And then I would say that I didn't know really any better. I knew that I wanted to, and with everything that I do, I always go in 110%, and just ended up working the 16, 18 hours a day on understanding better the crypto space, but also understanding to a certain extent more about the world and how the world worked. Because I think when we grow up, we're told a limited amount of professions. I think, as you mentioned before, it's like, oh, lawyer, doctor, this. But when you get into the real world, you understand, you speak to people, and you understand that they have all these really like a variety of different names for their roles, and they do very specific and specialist based things. And for me, it was a little bit of a Pandora's box. And also that I think we're always told that there are laws and there are rules that you need to follow. But I think when you go to university, quite often you choose a path, right? You choose a path of, okay, I'm going to go into this corporate hierarchy and ladder, and I know that I have to spend 2 years at this level, then I have to do this to get to here, and it's kind of already mapped out for you. But then when you come a little bit into the real world and into an innovative sector, you understand, well, there's not really a lot of these rules that are there, and a startup is really just trying to sellotape things together and make it work and then see what happens. And for me, that opened my eyes to all the possibilities that are out there and that entrepreneurship can offer. And I think you've had some great entrepreneurs on your podcast, and I was listening to some before where they were just like, well, you realize that like a lot of what was told to you before of it's not that easy to do this, and it's going to be hard if you try to kind of implement the idea. Other better people than you have tried. When you're like, well, actually no, like you can do this, and you can make money from having some crazy ideas, and you can live a lifestyle like that. I think that was really like from my first experience within a startup. I realized that, oh wow, like I don't have to just have like a mundane lifestyle of 9 to 5 where I hate my job. I can really love my job and love it so much that I can spend late night just speaking to various people about it, understanding it more, and even advancing the space forward. So I think that was really like a revolutionary moment.
Sheraz, you went from zero to hero, let's call it that, in such a not in such a short period of time. It took a couple of years, but you have been doing a lot. We have Crypto Valley Association, Storm Partners. Tell us about, okay, so how was your journey to crypto? Because you were in the bear market, bull market, bear market again. How was everything before the bear market? Like the previous bull market, let's call it like that.
Yeah, it was 2020. It was crazy, euphoric, and I think a little bit nobody imagined it. I remember this was, I think, the Christmas of 2017, if I'm not mistaken, where out of a few $100s that I had invested as a student, I think I'd gotten up to, let's say it was like 10, 12K. I remember like, and that every day when I woke up in the morning, my portfolio was 1,000 more, right? And I was just like, this is crazy. And I remember telling my parents and other people, it's like, this is the future. Cryptos are going to be everywhere. And like this big evangelist, where ultimately if I was a bit more rational and said, okay, wait, like the adoption of crypto is going to take, let's say, years, decades to actually come to everybody's household. But for me, I was like, it's happening, and it was quite crazy.
But yeah, it's crazy, but especially now, fast forward 2023, you've been through. That's why you're a crypto G. You've been through nearly 3 bear markets, 2 bull markets, but also you have worked really hard. As you say, you were working 16 hours at the beginning, but now since 2020, you start to get established more as you start working for, let's say, or a corporation or companies, and you start to put your own business and your own community. Tell us more about Mining Partners and Crypto Valley Association. I know they are associated through you, of course, but you start first with Crypto Valley in February 2020, and then you open up Storm Partners in September 2020. Tell us about Crypto Valley and how you ended up with Storm Partners as well.
Yeah, with great pleasure. So after my startup experience as being the head of marketing of that tokenization startup, I saw that there were a lot of opportunities. That tokenization of assets was not just the only use case of blockchain technology, but everything from supply chain, DeFi, even NFTs at the time, and all these various great and innovative and creative use cases. So when I ended up leaving, I did a lot of independent consultancy and advisory, and essentially just exploring the space a little bit. When I was flown out to Paris to go and work with some entrepreneurs there, and then going back to the Crypto Valley and just kind of bouncing around and really, just loving that innovative life. And it was at the World Economic Forum in 2020 that I coincidentally met with the executive director at the time of the Crypto Valley Association, who was building up a little bit of his team, told me a little bit about the ethos of what the association, the nonprofit, stood for. And he was based in the southern part of Switzerland, in the Romandie Riviera area. And you've got to know that Switzerland is around 65% to 70% German speaking.
Yeah.
So when you're in, let's say, the crypto space in Switzerland, it's quite often German speaking. So when you have two, let's say, Swiss French people, there's automatically some good sparks that are created. And so we spoke a lot, and slowly but surely I became a little bit his right hand within the association, helping him on the business development front, bringing people together, and found that the business development was really something that I loved doing, dot connecting and being able to support and being a trusted person in the space and helping companies to scale. And so when the pandemic hit, due to, let's say, his personal constraints, he decided to leave the association from an executive level. He's still very much involved now as a board member. And we decided to split that role essentially into, let's say, a more business focused one and a more marketing and events one. And so I took the business development side of things and started to support in growing out the association from a branding perspective, from a PR perspective, speaking engagements, but then also from a memberships perspective. And through that side of things, as the association has over, let's say, 10,000 ecosystem members, I was able to speak with some of the largest corporates to the largest scale-ups, or let's say Web3 companies in the space, to a lot of different entrepreneurs and startups. And so I started being a point of reference for a lot of what was happening in the Crypto Valley ecosystem in the Swiss space. And a lot of individuals started asking me questions like, hey, Sheraz, I'm looking to set up my company. I'm not too sure where I should do it. I need support with fundraising. I'm looking at working with these influencers. I don't know which ones, etc. And
so look,
it's a lot of different things. And for one person, as much of a, let's say, curiosity and an opportunist that I am, you know, the problems of scalability with independent consultancy are the same with blockchain. You can't scale more hours than you have in a day. We only have 24. You can only really work a certain amount. And so I was like, okay, how can I still support these individuals where trust is a really key point? And just I'd love to take a few minutes on trust here, because I always speak to a lot of my colleagues about trust in terms of the irony of the space, where blockchain technology is meant to bring further trust to data management, right? That is its ethos through, let's say, its transparency, immutability, and decentralization. However, if you go and speak to someone in the streets, no matter where you are in the world, they often tell you, well, I don't trust crypto. Is it a scam? Am I going to get hacked? Like, am I going to lose all my money, etc.? And so when actually the technology is made to be trusted, why do people not trust it? And so I really saw there was an opportunity for an entity, a person, to come in and be a trusted intermediary, to being able to support individuals that had a great idea within the Web3 space, that wanted to build something great, but just lacked maybe the trust of who and how to implement that. And that's really where the essence of Storm Partners came to life, to build this trusted intermediary that had a 360-degree approach, a turnkey solution whereby no matter who it was could come to me, to us, and be like, look, I have this great idea, I have this great product, I want to bring it to market. I'm missing this piece of the puzzle. Can you support with that? And at the very beginning, of course, we were a small team, and so we didn't have all of the resources internally to do so. But having been involved in the space for so long, I knew better than Google who to pick out to be able to get that work done. Because back in the day, you know, if you Google like marketing agency, the people with the best SEO between you and me were the biggest scammers. And they spend their time on SEO rather than doing the work. Yeah, a funny anecdote to that someone told me the other day is that um, the best shoe shiner doesn't always have the shiniest shoes. Um,
Mm.
and I often use that expression now to kind of tell our prospects why our website is so bad. But it's because we're just so busy actually working on the various projects that come to us that we've often not spent enough time on maybe some of the great things that we want to do internally. But that's a whole nother story. But yeah, so Stone Partners was very much created to be able to help Web 1, Web 2 entities getting into the Web 3 space, where we've helped large enterprises, banks, and even some governments, but also kind of that entrepreneur, that young, energetic entrepreneur that wants to get into the Web 3 space and just doesn't want to get caught out by either some of the scammers and wants to do things in the right way, you know. And this opens up another kind of, let's say, topic of the longevity side of things. You know, I've seen a lot of rug pulls, be it on the NFT project side, be it on the altcoin side, etc. And our ethos was always to build for the long term. Slow and steady wins the race. It's a little bit the
Yeah.
Swiss ethos. And we wanted to be that Swiss trusted party that could help you in achieving your dreams.
And what amazing experience you have, Shiraz, and also you have very good case of a study. You have worked with massive brands, you know, in the automotive industry, communications, banking, also helping, let's say, decentralized DAOs, let's call it like that, you know, and also layer 1, layer 2. Tell us about how you start to like scale up and growth. And for anybody that want to, for example, get in touch with you, that in knowing to crypto and how you will help them through a Storm Partners.
Yeah, so we have a different approach for, let's say, the enterprise at the large organization that we work with to, let's say, the Web3 inherent scale ups and startups, right? So if I give you some context on the first side of things, we start with education. We discussed this before. I think it's always a common topic, but we do a bit of myth busting. You know, when the media tells you that Bitcoin consumes a lot of energy, you know, a lot is a very subjective word. You know, if we go out, let's say, drinking, it's like, oh, I drank a lot last night. A lot for me might be different to a lot from you, right? And when people always say a lot, I'm like, okay, wait, but like, what does a lot mean? Because one of the beauties of blockchain technology is that you can calculate how much energy it's using. Can you calculate how much a bank is consuming in energy for all of their staff, all of their ATMs, all of like their cash flow management, all of the things that they're doing? Actually, no. So when you're saying that Bitcoin consumes more than a country, well, without having the appropriate reference points to that, it becomes a little bit misleading. And so we start with this first phase of education where I think a lot of people are misled towards what blockchain technology is and what cryptocurrencies can do. And so that educational side is very important. We spend as much time needed with these large organizations on that side. Then we move into a phase of research. So once they've said, okay, we've learned a little bit about this, it sounds much better than it was maybe portrayed to us before. Maybe we can research some areas and we can think about some things. And so we do a whole research and competitor analysis for them to understand, okay, what have other companies within the same industry done? You know, if you're talking, let's say, automotive, what have other automotive companies done around Web3? So we do a whole research and give them some understanding. Okay, these are the possibilities, and this is the value that Web3 can offer to your community, and where it can align with your objectives of the year or of, let's say, the decade to come. And once they look into that, a lot of the time they're like, wow, okay, this is really interesting. What could we do as a company? So that's when we move into a strategic phase. And so we build up a strategy for them. Actually, most often than not, we build up multiple strategies, because having 2-3 strategies means that they can, let's say, pick and choose, and that if somebody doesn't like a strategy and wants to veto one, there's still opportunities to move forward. And so we build up some strategies for them that could really work for what they're doing. And then after the strategic phase, then we implement it.
Okay.
And most likely they try to get board approval. The board often says no to one and says yes to another, and then maybe to the third option. And then at least we have one that everybody really likes, and we can move forward with that. And so this 4-stage approach of education, research, strategy, and implementation is the one that we use for these large companies that are not too sure yet where to go, and it provides them value every step of the way. And so then moving on to, let's say, the startup and scale up part, for us, it's very important to maintain that level of reputation and trust. And so we try to be very transparent with them and tell them, look, this is something that we've done in the past with regards to some form of corporate structuring or compliance as a service, or we tell them, look, this is something that we understand quite well. However, we need to get some external advisory support on it. We trust these people. And so if you look at it, let's say the friend of a friend is a friend, you could by proxy trust that person as well. And so we bring in then around the table other trusted parties. So as a first layer, we have experts that we work with that trust us, and we've worked with them on various projects as a scalability solution to our internal resources. And then if we have a larger project, then we have partnered firms that we can work with that have more resources than we do in various different areas that we can leverage to kind of support those entities. So that's, I would say, is the difference between the two types of support.
And obviously, when you're running several services like you're doing for Web3 and non-Web3 companies, then as you mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, when you were in Crypto Valley, so many people start to come to you. They need help with marketing or raising capital or a bunch of stuff that happened to crypto. So for the people don't understand much about what we're talking about, when you're jumping to crypto, there's different areas. One is B2B, one is B2C. B2B is between corporation, B2C is to retail. But when you're jumping to crypto, then you start to understand there's not only about the technology, there's also a business involved, marketing involved, but also finance and economics, like people trying to raise money for projects. So tell us more about that part, Sheraz, about Sky Financial. You have also that came probably from one of the needs that your community were looking for. Tell us how it went from Storm Partners to Sky Financial as well.
Yeah, I'm more happy to. So the essence of being able to provide solutions to our clients then extended from, let's say, that strategic consultancy advisory angle into actually having to offer that finality, which was the actual end and outcome, that implementation part that we discussed before. And so Sky Financial is a product of that from the financial side, where we've seen that it's been very hard to on-ramp and off-ramp crypto. So Sky Financial is, let's say, a regulated body in Switzerland, which has is a financial intermediary, which can allow us from a very much regulated standpoint in Switzerland, be on a layer 1 side of things to be an OTC desk, so to support in trading large volumes of crypto for a large Web 1, Web 2 entity that wants to kind of just have some crypto, trade it, etc. Also, the ability to create financial products. So if a client or ours, a prospect, has a great trading strategy, probably better than mine, and wants to be able to give exposure to financial institutions to that, we can create a financial product around it, which can allow a financial institution to custody this financial product within their own bank. And so it becomes, instead of let's say a bank or a large institution having to set up a MetaMask, buy Bitcoin, put it on there, etc., which wouldn't pass a lot of their the guidelines that they have to follow in the investment thesis. But if they could just buy a product and then just plug it into their bank and have it custodied with an ISIN number, like all their other products do, it becomes a much easier purchase for them. And they're willing to pay a small premium for that facility and ease of access. And then the most recent one within this Sky Financial and this company that has been really great is the syndication of private sales. So the ability to offer some of our clients in their private sale the aggregation of certain, let's say, we won't call them investors for, let's say, that terminology, but let's say token contributors, to get token contributors from a retail perspective into a private sale where they would need a ticket size of 250K, 500K, which is quite a lot of money, where they can invest in a private sale with 1K, 2K. We can create a syndicate, so we can bundle them all together. And that way, the project only needs to do a KYB of one entity, which is a regulated Swiss entity, ours. And we do all of the KYC and KYB of the 700 other token contributors. And it gives access for the project to a community at a private sale round. The community are very happy because they get early access to a token. And we're also happy because we've been able to provide a solution there as well. And of course, from a business model perspective, these token contributors are happy to pay a small premium on the token price because they understand that, hey, look, I need to pay a small premium because I didn't contribute 500K. I'm only contributing $500. So it's fine if I'm paying a few extra percentage here, 10% more of the token price, because I'm getting access to this great opportunity. And so it's a triple win for everyone, the token contributor, the project, and us. And I think it's a really great solution that we've seen really grow in demand recently. So all of that is basically revolving around the ability for us as a group structure to provide more and more solutions to the Web3 space.
So, yeah, for people that are probably new into what Sheraz was talking, in crypto, there is, let's call it like in the normal market, they call it IPO, but in crypto, there is new projects that are going to launch either their tokens or they're going to launch equity or they're going to launch shares of the company. So then there is a solution like Sheraz was saying, like if you don't have $50,000 or $100,000, but you have $500, $1,000 you want to invest in a new project, you can do it through the syndicate, or they call it crowdfund, or they also now call it, I think so, decentralized investment solution. They call it like that as well. So yeah, this actually is picking up a lot. I have a couple of friends that are doing similar case in different regions, but I think this is a good way for the projects, for also people like Sheraz and Sky Financial to give that bridge between people that not necessarily have access to these amazing deals that the private companies have, and also for the project that are raising capital, they can have not only one investor, thousands. So it spread the investment or the decision making of only one person that want to pull the plug or that decide not to invest. You have 1,000 people. It's more community driven. And talking about community driven, also, Sheraz, you have you are helping with the venture part of the projects and also accelerating projects. Tell us about how that works
Yeah, so following that route of opportunities and being a very opportunistic person. I mean, there's so many projects that we want to help out, but unfortunately, it's true that a lot of great ideas are not able to come to life due to funding. It costs a decent amount of money to get the right corporate structuring, to get the right, let's say, community managers to be able to really build out a business. And unfortunately, sometimes due to maybe the lack of vision or even the lack of capital available in the market, some of these great projects aren't able to find the appropriate funds. But we believe in them nonetheless. And that's why we've decided to create another company called Saturn Studio that allows us to, when we find some of these gems that we really want to work with, but maybe don't have the necessary capital to work with Storm partners as it is today, where it's true that we've been focusing more and more on, let's say, those scale-ups, SMEs, and enterprise, that we can still support the startups with our services. And so this venture building model, whereby we can provide them with services in kind, whereby they can remunerate us with equity and tokens, and we can support them in accelerating and help them to get to where they need to be at that private sale round, at that public sale momentum. And it's another way for us to provide a solution once again, whereby if we see a very committed team that we believe in for the long term, we want to support them into coming to life. And so far, we've currently allowed 3 firms to enter into this model, and slowly but surely kind of working with them. And ultimately, we believe that those firms as well are going to be able to provide further solutions to the clients that are within the current group structure, in terms of we see them as extensions of the Storm team and family, whereby our prospective clients will be able to use their solutions for, be it remittances. So one of our the firms that we've slowly but surely now started to venture build with is called Flus Finance. And they're great, whereby they're supporting with money transfers in conflict zones, in areas where Western Union and MoneyGram don't want to operate, but are actually in the most need of potential money when it comes to, for example, one of the recent earthquakes that happened in Turkey. You know, if you do a traditional money transfer, it can take days to arrive, where these individuals need money on the spot. You know, the earthquake and the collateral that happens there is it's not going to wait for the money to come. They need that practically instantly.
Yeah.
And so blockchain technology, cryptocurrencies can help that, and Flus Finance is supporting in doing that at a much lower fee than, let's say, these traditional entities do, which is a bit sad that some of these entities there, because they've had a monopoly on some of the remittances or some of the transfers of money, that they take completely absurd fees of 20 to even 30% at times of the amount you're sending, which sounds quite ridiculous. You know, that like you work for your hard-earned money and then you're sending it back home and you have to pay a 20% premium on that, where there are solutions that exist today. And so we really believed in the founding team there. They have some great partnerships already. Have a great track record, and we really want them to succeed. So we've been supporting them now for over a year, and there are a few other very interesting products in the pipeline that I will keep my mouth shut for the moment, but some really great things to come.
I'm sure they will listen to this podcast or they watch it, so I hope to have a couple of those projects on board as well here to go and share. For example, this kind of usability for blockchain, like you just say, is not only about creating wealth for everybody, it's also when people need a solution there and there, like an earthquake. I was in 1998 in an earthquake in Colombia myself, so I know when you need the need of, well, even food, shelter, drinks, you need the money, but the money need to get it right now. You cannot wait 2-3 days because there's 5 or 10,000 people without eating. They will die. So yeah, these kind of solutions, it just get my attention within blockchain, because like you, Shira, you are helping these kind of companies to grow faster because of your experience. But also there's something that it became very mainstream right now, especially after what happened last year with the market went downhill because bad actors or companies that didn't think about the community or their customers or their users. And now we have a lot of decentralization application protocol, layer 1, layer 2 solutions. So tell us about the term of the central house, right? That's how they came the name, the central
it is decentral house. And it's the fourth and, for the moment, final entity that we're let's say we have in our group structure. You know, it's funny that I started this podcast by saying I never thought I'd become an entrepreneur, and now there's 4 companies that we've spoken about. Essentially, decentral, we coined the term as the centralized meeting point for decentralized builders, whereby we're building all over the world. We met in Dubai, and now I'm in Switzerland. It's always funny because we're always like, so where are you calling from today?
Yeah,
We
yeah,
could be
always
we
so.
could be really anywhere. And I think the ability to still meet and connect in person has a lot of value. And if we're building in a decentralized manner on our own computers, we're essentially building up silos. And I don't think Web3 is about that. I think Web3 is about collaboration. It's about communication. It's about the ability to connect with each other. And so I don't believe that we should lose that essence of working together in real life in a centralized point. And we saw this opportunity within Geneva, whereby Zug has the Crypto Valley, Zurich has Trust Square, Lugano has Plan B, Neuchâtel has all the Bitcoin maxis. But Geneva, as a vibrant ecosystem from a macroeconomic standpoint, does not have, for the time being, a real Web3 hub where all these great watchmakers, NGOs, enterprises, and startups can meet in a Web3 environment and really start to build together and just to connect, even if it's over a beer or a glass of wine, or just sitting and working next to each other, overhearing maybe a call or something like this. And so the ability to create a co-working like environment with a mix of kind of the Soho House and the WeWork in Geneva seemed very, very relevant to us. I think relevant also to Storm Partners, whereby our teams are all over the world. And I would love to have a place that we can call we can bring people together, not only of our team, but of our clients, partners, and our ecosystem, and bring them together. And I think Geneva is missing that, but also some other areas in the world. And so that was the essence behind Decentral House, to really bring people together to build a better future together.
Amazing. I think so. We need a space like this, Shira, because everybody's into crypto. We start trying to find where we can go and socialize with people face to face. Well, especially there's so many. I will tell you about a couple of them in Latin America. I will introduce them to you. One is Mind Cafe, so by my good friend Daniel Aguilar in Medellin. He's opening cafes in Medellin, in Panama, and Salvador to get the people together, right? Because we can. This is something about crypto. We are in front of the computer, like you say at the beginning, 16 hours, 18 hours. That's part of the job. We need to be in front of the computer, either coding or doing business meeting or marketing or checking KPIs or compliance, whatever. But also we need to go and see people face to face because it makes stuff quicker, right? So one of the reasons why I decided to start to go to Dubai more often, and we're now settled there, is because the speed of networking there is unique, right? So probably similar to Switzerland, or probably similar to Andorra in Spain or Portugal. You meet so many crypto maxis, people that love the industry. It's easy to connect with them, and they say, "Yeah, maybe I'm going to have a second conversation with this person because I like what they're offering or their energy." And maybe this person, not necessarily because I know align in that part of what they're building right now, but I might see him in another conference. So what you're doing with the central house is quite good, especially in one of the biggest, the symbolic economic systems in the entire world, right? That is Switzerland. We're about to wrap up, Chira, but I want to ask you a couple of questions that I'll ask everybody that come into crypto OGs. So let's imagine Sheraz 2016 university. What advice will you give that Sheraz of 7 years ago, or any people that young and want to start to jump into crypto? What piece of advice you give them?
That you can do anything you put your mind to, and that when people around you tell you that you can't, or it's not as easy as that, and like you're better off just kind of going through the easy route. Like, the road less traveled, it can often be the one where you come out feeling achieved, and you feeling like you're on top of the world. And I definitely believe that it's been an incredible struggle of hard work, disappointments, failures, and yeah, moments of real blood, sweat, and tears. But the opportunities that come out on at the end of it are just so unimaginable. You know, to, for example, go to the World Economic Forum and speak to Jamie Dimon about Bitcoin, going to Dubai, and just meeting all these great people, doing things that you never ever believed possible at such a young age, and starting from practically nothing. I mean, I do believe that anything is possible if you put your mind to it. So have that tenacity, keep at it. And I think one thing that I think definitely inspired me through listening to some of your podcasts is the networking side. You know, like go out, speak to as many people as you can. During the pandemic, because I'm a bit of an extrovert like that, I get my energy a lot from others. I set up so many virtual coffees with people on LinkedIn as much as I could, where I was just connecting with random folk that had interesting backgrounds, not necessarily in crypto, could be in anywhere, without really any purpose. And it's always, you know, it was quite an interesting moment. The moment that the person on the other end of the call realized that you weren't trying to have a call to get something out of them, you were just trying to speak with them. And it was almost like this kind of it flipped the whole conversation, whereby because you weren't asking for anything, they wanted to give you something, and you're just like, I just want to learn more about what you're doing, and maybe in the future there's something we can do together, but ultimately I'm just here to learn. And I think that's always one of the things that we've come to terms with now, is that if someone messages me, it's like, hey, how are you, can you do this? Or there's always like a second message there. But
LinkedIn especially.
And so you know, when you're a young professional, or even, let's say, maybe an older professional that might not have a network in a certain area, go out, because I definitely believe that it's the people that build industries. And most people, the 99%, are going to be very friendly, are going to want to share their experience, and you can learn so much from the people around you. So do so in the most natural and organic way possible, and great things will come from it.
Amazing. And Sheraz, the last question: how can we find you? Where can we find you on social media? What are your handles, and where are you going next? Where's the next trip?
So the next trip is to Liberland.
Yeah, you mentioned the smallest country on the planet.
Yeah, exactly. To go and see VIT. It's their 8th anniversary there. I'm going to speak there with one of my business partners about decentralized autonomous organizations and a few other interesting topics. And then going to Ethereum Zurich as well after that. So it's always exciting, you know, bouncing from one event, conference, and city to the other. But it definitely keeps us alive. And yeah, the audience can reach out via the Storm Partners pages, via LinkedIn. It's my most active professional channel that I use, or even on Twitter at Crypto Sherazo. Which is a handle that I have, I think, since 2017, when I was a bit more degen buying my altcoins. So yeah, that's how you can get a hold of me. And yeah, Andres, I want to just say thank you for inviting me today. It's the first time, believe it or not, that I'm speaking publicly about these 4 entities, and a little bit more about our vision, mission, and yeah, first time that I think anyone is ever hearing. Even between you and I, even some of our team members probably don't know about all of these initiatives. So it's going to be interesting for them to listen to the podcast and be like, Sheraz, you didn't even tell us that we were working on these things.
I hope the whole Storm team is listening to this. Now you have training material now, Sheraz. You say you have the podcast of training material.
Exactly.
Cheers. Thank you so much for being in Crypto G's. You're official certified Crypto G. Great to connect with you. Thank you so much for bringing all of these solutions to the B2B community and the B2C community as well. And I hope to see you soon, either in Middle East, Europe, Latin America. We'll see. I hope to see in the next fight as well, but we will never go to fight. We're only going to see the fights with professional fighters.
Yes. Take care. Thanks, Andres.
Thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you in the next episode of Crypto G's. Take care, guys. Bye-bye. All good, bro.